Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one makes countries. Lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God will give. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social side, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See their shit, force of air. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one leaves countries. Lie to your face, fight and die, cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is Rock the Boat right here on UCY.TV, and I'm your host for the next 2 hours. It is, the 18th of June, and feeling kind of a little bit bad for the farmers here. We've gotten a lot of rain. I know that some of the farmers had to pull their crop already because it was too wet when they planted it, and they worked like hell to get it in. We just had a deluge of rain here in the last couple of days, and it's the way it is, though. That's farming. Anyways, I'm hoping today that I can get some American listeners to weigh in and hopefully call in. I'm a little bit peeved this morning about America. And I'm thinking it's just about time that I know people like heroes, and I don't like heroes because heroes are easily knocked off. And when people are looking to a hero to fix things, it's pretty easy to deflate the people by taking out the hero. And, I don't know, and I'm not going to say Jeff Kennedy was a hero, he's a politician, but I do believe that when he got taken out, the legs really got knocked out from under the American people. And it's been a downhill slide ever since. And, you had that nasty little stretch there with John and Bobby and Martin Luther King all going down about the same time. That's order out of chaos crap again, and to keep moving the agendas forward. So now we have this guy who is not a politician, Mr. Trump. And I read something. I went to get my coffee this morning, and I almost fell over. The headline on the Toronto paper, which is really the largest circulation paper in the country, but it's mainly geared to Ontario. But then Ontario has the largest population in the country of any of the other provinces. Basically, Ontario has pretty close to half the population of the entire country. And nobody lives here, for all intents and purposes, 34 million people. in a country just slightly smaller than Russia is rather ridiculous. But what I read in the Toronto paper today, it just, by the time I got home, I'm thinking it's about time that the American people that actually still have an operative brain and some will left, I'm thinking it's just about time that they got on the horn over to the White House and made it very clear that you're on side. Now, I'm not saying that Trump isn't a political puppet. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that the gentleman stood up and said he wants to make America great again. And that should be a rallying cry for all those who still have the capacity to understand what the hell's going on. And they should be rallying at this point to stand up. Because there seems to be a push to remove the president because of his executive orders, his shutdown on immigration from 7 countries, and so on and so forth. And you need to shut this down, okay? You need to shut everything down in order to stabilize things, or you're just going to slide down the hill faster, and you don't want to do that. So you need to shut it down, okay? President after president after president has left that southern border open for a purpose, and it's for the wants of the internationalists. And he's been accused of misusing executive order, when in fact the executive order has been misused since the beginning. As soon as the executive order came into play, all the rest of this stuff is just, it doesn't matter. The executive order is above everything else. It doesn't matter what anybody else in the political system wants. If the president decides he's going to write an executive order, he's going to write an executive order, which means that you have, for all intents and purposes, a king. Then that's unfortunate, but people let things slide, and they give you reasons that they need to write executive orders, but. It was, I'm just going to go, recent history. It was the Bushes who signed the American people on without their consent. And that is what an executive order is. It is a call without the people's consent. So it totally stands above the political system. And the political system is as corrupt as it can be. So it's got to get cleaned out and start over again with some decent people in there. But it was the Bushes who signed the American people onto the UN globalist, internationalist Agenda 21 in 1992 at Rio. And once Bush was out, then Clinton shows up, and he writes an executive order that this shall be implemented, Agenda 21 shall be implemented in every part of society in America. And I do not believe in any way, shape, or form that any country or any president or any prime minister or anyone has the authority, the legal or lawful authority, to sign an entire nation, which is the people, onto international agreements of which the people are not even aware of. I do not believe that anyone in any political position has that authority. And that's what's been going on for a very, very long time. So now you have Mr. Trump, who again I think is a player, because I don't believe he'd be there if he wasn't a player. I'm not exactly sure how this game's supposed to be working out here right at the minute. It's very interesting. But the game on, I guess, is to try to remove Mr. Trump for whatever reason. So maybe Mr. Trump is legit. I don't know. But there's a game being played out here, and it's not working out well for the American people. Before Trump got in, I said he'd probably get in because the right side, and I hate right and left because they are boots attached to the same body, and that body's walking in a direction you don't want to go in, and you don't want to end up at the destination. So right and left, you cannot have a nation that's solid if you have the population split on this right-left mindset. You're either for or against the nation, which is the people. And, this bouncing back and forth right, left is just right, left, right, left, right, left. And they're walking you to a very nasty destination. So I read in the paper this morning, and this is in Canada, and I remember I was actually invited on a TV show, on a news show, back I think before Obama, just prior to Obama taking office the first time, and there was a Marxist politician, and they're all Marxists, who was, playing up, Obama. We're not in America, but the groundswell here, it was the same Obama up here. All the political system up here was pushing for Obama, and because he's just a little Marxist toolie. And I had to, it's funny, I haven't been invited on a TV news show since. I kind of had to rip this politician a new one on the air. But I come from say what you mean and mean what you say. And you don't pussyfoot this stuff. It's important. And now we have the same thing with Trump. When Obama was in, Canada was happy. Not anybody that could think, or anybody that did any research, but the general public. Oh boy, we're going to shut down the coal plants, and we're going to get renewable energy, and oh my God, Obama wants to save the planet. Isn't this wonderful? No, it's not wonderful. Not wonderful at all. This is for the people who are easily manipulated mentally and emotionally. And it's all to the detriment of our nation, which is our people. And that all comes out of the UN, all comes out of the people that started the UN. And this is where I point the finger at America. Not the United States as a corporation, but America, the people. I point my finger at the people. Now, we've allowed these tax-exempt foundations to basically influence and do what they want for an extremely long time. Rockefeller set up the Trilateral Commission, and then we have the Council of Foreign Relations. These are not American relations. This is foreign relations, and foreign relations are the signing of international agreements to take down America. Okay, it's not about for the benefit of the American people. It's the benefit of the globalists, of which Rockefeller said that he'd been accused of being an internationalist, and if that's the accusation, or if that's the charge, he stands guilty and he's proud of it. These are the people that are in the background. These are the people that run the show. This is exactly what we were warned of by that Chief Justice in England in 29 or whenever. I think it was 29. That and it was called The New Despotism, and it was about bureaucracy, basically, how they're putting the people in place who actually run the show, not the politicians. The politicians come and go, but that bureaucracy stays put. They're not elected, and they're the ones that control. They're the ones that have their deal already set. So when the new president, new Congress, whatever comes in, they're the ones that make the suggestions. They're the experts of which the politicians are supposed to listen to. They are the Marxists who have taken control. You call them Marxists, call them Jews, call them whatever the hell you want to call them. But they do not have the best interests of the American people at heart. And American people need to come to terms with that real quick. Now, I've said this before, that I don't understand exactly what Mr. Trump's up to. I mean, the rest of them was easy. We knew exactly where they were going. We knew who the players were. We knew, who's pushing what buttons. Trump kind of throws a wrench into things a little bit because, one, he's not a politician. He's not from the family compact, so to speak. So, there's, where are we going with this thing? So I would like to think the man's legitimate, but again, he did make that statement, make America great again. I think this is a statement, regardless of whether Mr. Trump is straight up or a player. I think this is a statement that the American people need to rally around now. And, the game is they're trying to take Trump out. Now, they didn't try to take Obama out. I mean, the guy isn't even legitimate. He's not even an American. How do you get to do two terms when you're absolutely not legitimate to even hold the office? That breaks my heart that the American people allowed this to go on so long. I remember how mad I used to get at some of these radio hosts and that who yammered on for 8 years about Obama not being legitimate. Well, okay, if he's not legitimate, then do something about it. You, the people, are the power. Do something about it. We didn't do anything about it. So this nonsense, this globalization, this takedown of the nations just continues on. So now we have Trump. And I read this thing in the Toronto Star this morning. It just pretty much blows me away. It's not unexpected because since before Trump got in, they were pounding away on him. I don't know if they're pounding away on him in America, but they were definitely pounding away at him up here. I would have people long before he was ever elected that people would ask me what I think of Trump. I says, what do I care? I don't live there, right? Let's look at the problems we got here, right? And he's going to start a third world war. He's going to destroy America, yada, 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 yada. And so what do you know about this guy? Well, nothing. This is what they're telling me on the news. And I'm an idiot, so I just believe everything I'm told. So I don't know how bad it was stateside. I try not to deal with politics if I can help it. But it's all attached to politics anyways. And here we have a story in the Toronto Star. The madness of King Donald Trump, the 45th president of the United States. And they're yammering on about his executive orders and that. So I went and looked it up. The first executive order was written by George Washington. And it's been going on ever since. I don't know how many Obama or the Bushes or the Clintons wrote. Jimmy Carter, Nixon, they all puppets, you know. It was Nixon, it was Rockefeller that was in charge of the Commission on Population or something. And it was Rockefeller who read from Nixon explaining how concerned Mr. Nixon was about population growth, even though it was written by Rockefeller, who was the head of the commission. And it took Nixon over to China and started that one world child thing or whatever. Whether Nixon didn't start it, but the Rockefellers now started, the globalists started it, because they want to drop the population down to 2 billion people, which means that this is a conspiracy of mass murder, if you will. And so this continues through. So now we have this gentleman, Donald Trump, who doesn't want to play ball with these guys, apparently. And again, I don't know what the game is here. I don't know if the game is to put him in and then pull him out and call martial law. That's my biggest concern. That's my biggest concern. Because if this is what they're trying to do and they pull the president, who's taken over? Okay? And because of the stresses and this and that and the wars overseas, is this a trigger to martial law? I don't know. But it is concerning. And this is why I'm saying that, you know, the one thing the American people did that impressed me, well, there's a thing that really unimpressed me, that worried me about America, because I was in America. I was in Florida working after Hurricane Andrew when Waco went down, and I couldn't believe that the American people didn't rally. The American people, I think that went on, what was it, 54 days or some damn thing? And the American people stood down. You know, and I told the American people when I was down there, this is a test, folks. This is a test. You know, and two things have to disappear from American soil in order for the globalists to get what they want, and one is the Constitution and the other is the Christian faith. And this was a test, Waco was. And the American people failed. They didn't rally, and they let this happen. And then we had, you know, some other shootings and bombings and all this kind of stuff, all tests. Will the American people rally? And they didn't. And they sat there and watched the nonsense on TV and 9/11 and all this kind of crap, all orchestrated nonsense. And still don't rally. And so, you know, the one rallying cry that I saw that made pretty good sense and actually made me proud of a certain faction of the American people was a stand down at the Bundy Ranch. Now I don't get into all the politics of the Bundy Ranch or any of that other stuff, but it's just an observation that people came from all walks of life, and they rallied. That's one of the few times I've seen the American people actually rally for a just cause. No shots were fired as far as I know. Nobody was hurt as far as I know. But the people came from all walks of life and stood down the Fed. Because it's always a game of who's going to blink first. And that was a classic example of the blink. Because once the blink has happened, it's over. Now, if you, the people, are determined not to blink, then the blink has to come from the other side, and that is the side that's trying to tear down your nation. And it's a beautiful example of the people just simply standing up. Now, what the forces, the international forces, are trying their damnedest to do with these pride parades and the Black Lives Matter and the civil rights and all the rest of this nonsense and the environmental movement is their attempt to force violence, to get the people to boil up where they can't take it no more and get violent. And that's what they're begging you to do. And you need not go there. The strength and the power is in the people, not a handful of corrupt, international, Marxist, Jewish politicians and bureaucrats. You far outnumber them. All you got to do is stand, just like they did at Bundy Ranch. You stand up, they stand down, because you are the power. Now, what they've done over the decades is tried their best to divide the people into these little wee cliques, so that those people are so involved in these little units that they've created that they can't see the big picture, and then they start fighting amongst each other. So instead of just right-left splitting the nation basically in half, on the political side, they've fractured it in so many other ways now. Okay, there's no cohesion between the people. They're actually disliking each other because I believe in this, you don't believe in that, and they've lost sight of their nation, of their people. So it weakens the nation. It weakens the people. It weakens their ability to stand when they need to stand. They've somehow been coerced into believing that the state is there somehow to protect them, when in fact the state is there directly to take you down. So this thing I was reading today about Trump, the 45th president of the United States. Doesn't say America, because the president is the CEO of the corporation known as the United States. So you, the men and women, are not even involved in any of this stuff, okay? You don't exist in the corporate realm. The corporate realm does not recognize the living, breathing man or woman. Okay, so your nation's been taken from you. You've been taken out of the picture. You've been replaced by a corporate entity that they created, that they tied to you, and didn't tell you about it, didn't ask you to consent to it. And it's the same thing as if, and this is exactly how this, when I sit down and think about it, I go back to when I was a kid. And we would start a club. A few of us would get together in the summertime or whenever and say, you want to start a club? Sure, why not? What do we call it? So we call it something. We call it the United States. Oh, okay. Or we'll call it Canada. That's what we'll call our club. Canada or the United States, pick a name. It doesn't matter. That's all this is, a name. It's a word or set of words. So we start a club. And we write the rules and regulations of membership of the club. And we have an initiation process. You can call it your swearing of citizenship, or swearing to the club. But we created the club. And we gave you a club. No different than the founding fathers did. The people didn't come up with a constitution. A handful of men came up with the Constitution. And in Canada here, it just simply said we were given responsible government, except the word responsible and responsible government doesn't have the dictionary meaning of the word responsible. Well, ain't that cute? But we go ahead and we make our club up and we put the rules down and put the initiation process in. And then we go out and we solicit club members. Hey, Joey, you want to be a member of the club? What are you doing? Oh, we started this club. What's it about? We tell them what it's about. You know, here's the rules and regulations of the club. Here's the initiation process of the club. Now, we didn't have you, swear an oath. We actually just got kids to jump off a roof. Then that way we figured if you can jump off a roof, you're not a wuss. And you can be a member of the club. So Joyce, yeah, that's cool. I'll be a member of the club. Okay, here's your club card and rules and regulations. And we do this for a while, and we say, geez, there's a lot of work, because they have to consent to being club members and so on and so forth. And we got to go through this initiation thing, yada, 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 for each and every one. It takes a lot of time, pain in the butt. So we go back to the clubhouse, and we say, well, how can we do this easier? Well, why don't we draw a line around the neighborhood or whatever, our stomping ground, so to speak, and why don't we just make everybody between the ages of whatever and whatever a club member? Wouldn't that be easier? Yeah, but, we shouldn't we tell them they're members? No, we won't tell them they're members, and we'll just make them members. And we'll just put their name on a piece of paper. And we'll make a card for each of them. And they'll have to follow the rules and regulations. Whatever it is we decide, because we started the club. So we want to add to, subtract, change the rules, and so be it. We have the power. And you go, well, okay, we're walking down the street and there's Sammy. Hey, Sammy, what are you doing, bud? Oh, just whatever. Can we talk to you for a minute, my friend? Yeah, what's up? Well, we noticed here that you broke a rule or law, statute. A what? Well, as a member of the club, what club? Well, the club, United States/Canada Club. Well, I don't know anything about it. Well, you were born here, right? You live in this neighborhood? I do. Well, then you're automatically a member. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, it's the way it is. You're automatically a member of the club. Well, I don't remember signing anything. Well, there's your name right there on that card. It's over here on the initiation paper. Well, I didn't make that. No, we did on your behalf. So now you're a member. And now you have to follow the rules. I don't think I want to be a member. That's not the point. You are a member. And we've attached this member, which we made up, to you, the living kid. And now you're a member. Well, it's not real law. No, it's not. It's color of law. But the fact here, my friend, is that we also have the force of law. And you will either submit to what the laws are of this club, or you will wish you had. Because we have the force. We have the color and force of law, which, by definition, is tyranny. And this is what our so-called countries are. It's like George Carlin said, it's a big club, and you and I aren't in the big club. Well, we're in the club. We're in the club. You all have identification on you saying you're part of the club. It's like we never grew up. They've held us in the child position through the education system, through the work systems, through the legal systems. But none of it adheres to you because you are a man or a woman. And what they've got you believe in is that you're this piece of paper, card, club member that they created. Well, they only have authority over that membership. They don't have authority over the man or woman. You can't have a contract without full disclosure. You can't have a contract without consent. So we're just in a little boys club or a little girls club that some people started up and made some rules and attached you to the club. That is not a nation. The nation is people, and people are men and women. They are living, breathing souls. And the membership they made is a dead, fictional entity. And I don't know any other way to explain it that would hopefully get people that don't really get most of this stuff, help them understand what's going on here. We have been taken, we've had our sovereignty taken away from us. We're not a sovereign nation. The sovereign nation would be the people. This is a corporation who has created another entity for you. Now, this is the most ridiculous thing that I ever read in my life, and it's a very dangerous thing. But the 45th President of the United States is aggrandizing and self-defeating leadership conducted via a modern royal court suggests Trump may be unfit for office. The history of removing incompetent regal rulers shows that it's those closest to him who bear the closest watching. Donald Trump, the 45th President of the United States, has not been in office for very long, but already the contours and characteristics of his rule have become clear. Rather than govern conventionally through officers of state appointed for their competence and experience, with the agreement, however reluctant, of Congress, he has chosen to gather around him an informal courtier of friends, advisors, and relatives, many of them, like himself, without any experience of government at all. While railing against the restrictions imposed upon him by the constitutional arrangements, such as the independence of the press and the judiciary. Now, the judiciary nor the press are independent. Okay? They are all part and parcel of the problem. Especially the judiciary. Where the hell did they get paid? Where do they get their paychecks from? From your tax dollars. Which means, by definition, they're in conflict of interest. You know, I don't know how many jury trials take place in the United States or in America. Up here, it's very rare you have a jury trial. They say it's too expensive and it's too slow and too inconvenient for the jury, and people have to give up their work and that. So they make all these excuses about expedience of justice. Well, that don't work, because let no man judge you. So the judiciary is, at this point, for all intents and purposes, just a corporate structure that is there to relieve you of your freedoms and your labor. Trump's entourage resembles nothing more closely than the court of a hereditary monarch with informal structures of rule elbowing aside more formal ones. Trump did, after all, win widespread support in the electorate by promising precisely this, shaking up, bypassing, or overthrowing the Washington establishment and trying something new. The result, however, has been chaos and confusion contraction and paralysis. It has become clear that the President of the United States is someone who does not read his briefs, who does not take the advice of experts in the intelligence field or indeed in any other, who fires off brief statements without thinking whether they are consistent with the administration's declared policy, who is seemingly incapable of putting together a coherent sentence with a subject, a verb, and a object, who is apt to give away state secrets to a foreign power and seems to have no respect either for the truth of the Constitution, not least in respect of freedom of religion and freedom of speech. He may not be mad, but a growing number of commentators allege that Trump is suffering from dementia or is mentally subnormal or is suffering from a personality disorder of some kind. Now, none of what I've read so far is based in any fact. These are all assumptions and suggestions. There's no fact written. There's no names of anyone who has said anything. It's just a bunch of horseshit. Excuse me. That's what it is. It is suggestion, and the word suggestion is pretty. Well, let me just look it up real quick here. Suggest, place before another's mind, put forward a proposition, being under, lay, benefit, furnish, afford, supply, prompt, meaning to act as to call up the idea, something else. Suggestible, that's the people capable of being influenced, meaning that can be suggested. And that's exactly what's going on. And that's what really makes me nuts when people freak out about Trump or something else. Okay, now here's the word suggestion, the noun, prompting to evil, hint, temptation, and addition, initiation, suggestion, bring under, lay beneath, furnish, afford, supply, prompt, and so on and so forth. Heap up, build, to bring forward an idea, meaning, proposal, statement, declaration, yada, yada, yada. So what's being written here, and has been written so often throughout time, is based on suggestions of so-called experts who put these ideas in people's heads and bring the people to believing something that they just simply suggested. Not based on any realities, not based on any truth, not based on any fact. You could look at it almost as hypnosis of the public, to get them to believe what they want you to believe. So anyways, in this particular, this has got to be one of the longest things I've ever read in the Toronto Star, ever. This is like a small retarded book. I have a picture here of Donald Trump looking rather stupidly defiant, with the gold wings, his head between the gold wings with some stars above his head, and the arrows sticking out his left shoulder, behind his left shoulder, and that His Excellency, says the picture, a billionaire businessman, Donald Trump, has appeared increasingly frustrated by the bureaucratic structure and restrictions of democratic government. You bad boy, Donald. So now they're going to spend a very long time here showing other monarchs, I don't know how you got from being the president to monarch, but anyways, how other monarchs that are inbreds, right, inbreeding of the royalty, and they label that on to Trump somehow. They suggest that this is the same situation that's going on, and they go through this long, long list of crackers throughout history and suggest that this is probably something that is infected Donald Trump somehow. In a situation where a head of state is incapable of carrying out his duties properly, now that is following what the in-place bureaucracy, the experts, the globalists, the Marxists, the Jews want. Because as the president, you just do as you're told and then go golfing, right? What guidance can history offer us? The relevant history isn't so much the history of the presidency of the United States, where no incumbent has ever been successfully removed from office by Congress, but rather the history of incompetent or allegedly incompetent rulers at other times in other parts of the world. So we're talking about other times and other parts of the world. We're not talking about America. We're suggesting that if you look at these other incompetent rulers from other times and other parts of the world, then you will realize that Mr. Donald Trump is a real threat to the democracy of the United States. And America was not set up as a democracy. It was set up as a republic. We gave you a republic if you can hang on to it. Well, you ain't done a very good job of that. What happens when a political elite concludes that the real or titular head of state has to be deposed in the interest of the country as a whole? Of course, even given Trump's leadership style, the pertinent question might be narrowed down further. What happens when a monarch is judged as mentally unfit to rule? Now, if you go to the WHO and the United Nations, which WHO is part of the United Nations, they have kicked up this mental game where everyone is mentally ill, okay? And that is so that they can target anybody, anywhere, anytime, and take them down under the guise of being mentally ill. And our head of health here in Canada, at the federal level, stood at a TED Talks, and which is the Marxist talks, the Jewish talks, the globalist talks. TED Talks is a bevy of lunatics who come across the stage from time to time and tell you shit that why anybody would believe this garbage is beyond me, but a lot of people seem to really enjoy TED Talks. These are the mentally ill already. But the head of mental health at the federal level here in Canada stood at TED Talks and said that we are all of us, we are all mentally ill. So now that we've concluded that we're all mentally ill, obviously Donald Trump must be mentally ill. And therefore we will use that program to try to take him out. In modern times, just further back in history, madness is a slippery concept, hard to pin down unless there are obvious signs of delusion, derangement, paranoia, or actual physical aggression. So if you even move, if you breathe, you now will fit into a category of mental illness. Which reminds me of a show that we did so long ago. I believe we were on, what the hell was that thing called? Some radio thing. What the hell was that called? I've been there in years. But anyways, it was all full of, we quit there. We left there because we had the back end and we were always being fired UN commercials at us. So we got the Blog Talk Radio. When we were doing a show way back then and my then co-host We actually had a guy calling from Switzerland, which is where Geneva is, which is the head office of the WHO, which is the place that inoculates you with vaccinations you don't need, and the place that has now labeled everybody mentally ill. But he called into the show, and he was talking about dissenters, and that the dissenters in Switzerland don't go to court, and they go to the mental institution. And that way they don't get to go to court, and that way they can be just taken out of the picture. And this is what now is arrived here. All you got to do is go over there and study what's going on over there and give it 6 months, 2 years, whatever, and it'll show up here. I mean, it's just the way it works. This thing goes on, but madness of that sort was far from uncommon in Europe's royal families, not least because of the inbreeding favored by their convention that members of a royal family could not marry beneath their station. As H.C. Eric Middlefort explains in his entertaining 1996 monograph, Mad Prince of Renaissance Germany. In 16th century Germany, nearly 30 dukes, landgraves, and counts were regarded by their courts and ministers as mad enough to require medical attention or removal from office. But what exactly was meant by mad? Middlefort explains that advisors and family members spoke of weakness, folly, debility, and the condition of not being right, or sometimes fear or melancholy or sickness, when they encountered princes who seemed to be mentally unsuited to rule. The notion of clinical insanity or certifiable madness is one that only became current in the 19th century. In the early modern period, a few princes were clearly completely deranged, such as Don Julius Caesar Austria, son of Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II, who tortured his mistress to death and walked her about for days covered in her blood and brains, attacked his servants, destroyed his furniture, tore up his clothing, babbled and roared nonsensically, and was allegedly eventually strangled on his father's orders in 1609. Some suffered from delusions, such as Duke Albrecht, Frederick of Prussia, who slept in his clothes in case the Turks came for him in the night, poured his medicines on the floor, spoke to people who were not present in the room, and threw a clock at an envoy sent by Emperor Maximilian II. The relatives were appointed to carry out the business of ruling, bypassing the unfortunate Duke, who was left to amuse himself with his collection of 100,000 coins while being subjected to a variety of grotesque curves applied by rival schools, applied by rival schools of medicine. Now we got a picture here of a trio of close advisors have alternately vied for more influence over their often distracted patron. That includes son-in-law Stephen Miller and Stephen Bannon, whoever they are. They call them the King's Courtiers, which is this is beyond stupid. More common, however, was melancholy, or as we would put it today, depression, sometimes attributed to the medieval or early period of demonic influences and debilitation from such melancholy or through paralysis or speech impediments caused by stroke, senility, dementia, or other afflictions of old age, were typically dealt with by finding someone else to rule without actually deposing the prince. But not always. Consider the example of the 1848 revolution in Central Europe, the fact that the Austrian Empire's ruler, Ferdinand I, was barely capable of carrying out his duties had been known from the moment he came to the throne, following the normal line of hereditary succession in the House of Habsburg. Stories of his limited intellectual capacity were legion when he was told one day that he could not have apricot dumplings because they were out of season. He lost his temper. I'm the emperor, he shouted at his cook, and I want dumplings. The offspring of double first cousins, his parents, in other words, shared all four grandparents. He was slow to learn and read and write, subject to epileptic fits, had a speech impediment, and was clearly incapable of carrying out his imperial duties. When he came to the throne in 1835, the country's leading statesmen, Prince Clemens von Metternich, ensured that the business of the emperor was carried out by a council consisting of himself, another politician, and the emperor's uncle, Archduke Louis. But this situation could not stave off the revolution that came in 1848. As the crowds marched towards the imperial palace in Vienna, Ferdinand summoned Metternich and said, "What are all those people doing there then?" "They're making a revolution," he replied. "What, are they allowed to do that?" Ferdinand asked in astonishment. Not surprisingly, as the revolution took a grip, he was pursued by his family to abdicate in favor of his 18-year-old nephew, who became Franz Joseph I. The Habsburgs were always optimists, but there never was a Ferdinand II or Franz Joseph II. As Franz Joseph was defeated by Otto von Bismarck, Prussian armies in the War of 1866, Ferdinand had the last laugh. "I don't know why they appointed Franz Joseph," he said. I could have been just as good at losing battles." And this thing goes on and frickin' on and on and on and on and on. This goes on for I don't know how many pages this is. We go through some African rulers, we go through all of this stuff, and this is all attached to Trump somehow. So we go down to the bottom here. The only formal and legal way of removing U.S. President Trump and restoring strong and stable government is by impeachment. But as with many other aspects of the 18th century Constitution by which the United States is still governed, this may prove a long, complicated, and difficult process. Republican members of Congress are understandably reluctant to spend many months removing a Republican president, and in the end, an attempt at impeachment may not succeed. So, this is stating that the American Constitution is a problem, and it is a problem because the globalists cannot have their way as long as, and I want people to understand this, they need to remove the Christian faith and the Constitution of, I'm going to call it America because it's supposed to be the Constitution of the nation, which is the people, not the Constitution of the corporation. So I'll put it back on the people side because America is the people, and it is the people that are going to fix this mess or go down the toilet with the mess. And it's up to the people, period. But that still leaves other options. If Trump rules through what is in effect the modern American equivalent of a royal court, then perhaps it is the courtiers, as in so many examples from history, together with his family, who might have to get together and remove him, or at the very least neutralize him. The incoherence, inconsistency of his tweets and his speeches, unless this is in brackets, unless they are written for him in advance, unless he sticks rigidly to the text, has prompted speculation that this has already happened. Well, the fact is that this is the problem with all political situations. The experts, the bureaucrats, the controllers, the behind-the-scenes government, the shadow cabinets, write everything that these people say. Take the teleprompter away from Obama, and you got a babbling black idiot. And that's not finding out that this guy is black, and he's an idiot who's a Muslim, apparently, which wants to kill all the Christians. and also kill the Constitution. And they've been tearing the Constitution apart. It was, this is the beauty of it, if you pay any attention at all, well, Obama, he's a Muslim and he's against the Constitution. And, well, it was George Bush who said that, it's just a damn piece of paper. It'd be a whole lot easier if it wasn't for that damn piece of paper, or whatever he said. It was along those lines. So this is, the Constitution's got to go, because we can't get what we want with that damn thing sitting here, and we've done everything we can to shred it, and we've done everything we can to destroy and remove any semblance of the Christian faith. But then they come around and they turn around that his incoherence and inconsistency of his tweets and his speeches, unless, of course, they are written for him in advance, and unless he sticks rigidly to the text that has been handed to him, is what a puppet would do. And if he doesn't do that, has prompted speculation that the man is nuts. And that's dangerous. That's damn dangerous. What's really going to bother me is I'm going to have to go out and I'm going to run into people now that have read part of this and say, Trump's got dementia. Really? Yeah, I saw that. Uh-huh. We got to get him out of there, right? Because he's dangerous. Uh-huh. And this is why all newspapers are, we all know they're all controlled. We all know they're all controlled from the globalist side. And again, you call it whatever you want. You can call it fascist, Marxist. You can call it communist. You can call it commentarianism. I don't care. You can call it theocracy. I don't care. Right? It's all just buzz shit. All right? We got a problem here. And the problem and the fix lies in the hands of the men and women of our nations. And we're going to have to stand up fairly soon, because reading this, my concern is that this is an open-ended invitation for a bullet to hit Mr. Trump. And, if that doesn't work, then we'll haul him off to the mental ward. But then either case, I'm afraid that this may be an open door to international, right? Because America is the strongest nation. International need to bring in international troops in order to stabilize the country. And I'm quite worried about that, and we don't want to see that happen. Anyways, this last paragraph here, only a few weeks in his presidency, Steve Bannon, who was being described by many journalists as President Bannon, now that he himself seems to have been sidelined, it looks increasingly as if Trump's family, with Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump alternately at the fore, is beginning to take over the show. If Americans prove incapable of deposing their debilitated president, they may soon earn the mild relief of one or more informally appointed American regents. Very dangerous subject this is, a very dangerous piece this is. And but it does paint a picture of what the Chief Justice warned about in 1929. And once that bureaucracy's in place, they don't want it moved out of there. So, which makes the whole political realm a bad, ugly joke. So I'm going to put this in, and I found this particular story. I don't. I see headlines about Trump almost every day. I just found this one so far over the top, and this is very dangerous when you have the media who, slathered all over, praised all over Obama for 8 years, and anybody that would raise a question about the presidency of Obama would be slammed into the ground. And now we have a gentleman who said it's time to make America great again. I may not be perfect on what he said, but to that effect. And he has become not a danger to the American people, so to speak. He's become a danger to those who can see their goal line, see their goal line. There it is. There's our world order. There's where we control every resource on the planet. We are what Rockefeller said. Something has to take the place of government and business seems to be the obvious entity to do it. Okay, you can't even get water anymore unless you pay for it. How ridiculous is this? Whose water is it? It's our water. Whose land is our land? All right, and so they've worked very hard at what they're doing, and they see their goal line. And now this guy's there. Again, I don't know exactly what he's up to. I just know that he said, something along the line, it's time to make America great again. And that should be a rallying cry for the people. And I would suggest, I'm going to use the word, I would suggest that the American people, those who still can think, those who can still understand what the purpose of America was in the first place, and why the people came here was to get out from under the tyranny they were living under, to build a lawful society for their people. And that didn't last long at all, But I kind of almost look at this as a second Reformation, because it was really the workings of Martin Luther, which is kind of ironic, seeing as Martin Luther was the one who went to Rome and was absolutely appalled by what he saw. And Rome eventually fell, and Rome has arisen again. And once again, all roads are leading to Rome. And we have to smash that one more time. So it was the Reformation. It was the understanding of Martin Luther when he got to Rome and saw the decadence, and it was like Babylon, and figured out what the hell was going on here. And they were acting as middleman between man and the Creator, and that the only way you could get to the Creator was through the Roman Church. And he looked at this and saw the fallacy of it and the con game involved in it, and started the Reformation, which basically brought forth the Protestant side of Christianity, and that you didn't need the church to get to your Creator. And it's almost time, I think, again, for some form of a new Reformation, a new understanding of the deceit and the criminality that we find ourselves governed by. And it's basically what they did in the Reformation was they realized that we don't need to put up with this crap. And the people rose up. And I think it's time for the people to rise up again. And I don't believe we need violence. I keep saying that. I keep meaning it. I do not believe we need violence. We have the bodies. We have enough intelligent people. The Bundy standoff was a perfect example of what can be accomplished without violence. But I would suggest that the people who really understand what America is supposed to be and actually give a damn about their fellow man, I would suggest that those people contact Mr. Trump immediately. This is going to be a blink game here. And if they manage to knock him out with a bullet, or a bad sandwich, or pull him down through dementia or some other mental malady, then America's in trouble, which means the world's in trouble. And we don't need to go there. We suggest that you contact Mr. Trump and offer your support only on the idea of making America great again. Okay? To reformulate your constitution so that you don't have these executive orders. Because if you do have executive orders, you don't have a government. You do, in fact, have a king. Here we keep saying, people say, well, Canada's independent. No, it's not. Who is the head of state? The Queen. What is a queen? The Queen stands at the apex of the political and legal systems, which are both corporate. Okay, the Prime Minister is not the Prime Minister of Canada. The Prime Minister is the Queen's Prime Minister in order, in other words, the CEO of the corporation. The people have to come to some sort of understanding of what the hell's going on here, not the nonsense that's been told to them through the schools and the churches. I got me a beaver online. Hello, Mr. Beaver? Mr. Beaver, have I got you?
I'm not an American.
No, but you're a beaver.
Yeah, I know, but you said you have Americans call in.
Well, Americans seem to be silent today, which kind of bums me out a little bit, but that ain't my problem. I know there's lots of Americans in the chat. If they want to discuss it, great, let's discuss it. If you don't. I don't care. I do care, actually. I care deeply. But how was the beavering this morning, or did you get any done?
Oh, yeah, I got, I got lots done and lots not done. You know the way it works.
Yeah.
Slave to the system.
Yeah, it's
Sundays. Father's Day, too.
Is it? Well, happy Father's Day to you. And many more. No, that's... So you're out chewing up a tree on Father's Day.
Well, I'm supposed to, but my son, who isn't celebrating...
Oh, he still hasn't brought the blade.
...is not answering his phone to come and get me to go get the tree down. And my truck was stolen, remember?
The tree is down, remember?
Well, it's down, but I got to get it out.
Well, why don't you just, we have beavers.
Yeah.
I mean, we're building fences for turtles, and we're taking away land for the moose.
Foundations and fences now for turtles.
The beaver is a Canadian icon.
Yeah, here you go.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it kind of kills me that our government is all about save the animals now, when the whole purpose, or one of the purposes of the Hudson Bay Company, was to come and slaughter as many beavers as possible and get their pelts. So maybe there's no beavers left.
Actually, there was an article, Ron. I mean, your thread was good, and I didn't want to take from that. What you were discussing was really good, and I didn't want to take from that. But now you mentioned it, there was an article, I guess, in my city. Apparently, the government is killing beavers because they're damming up rivers.
I saw that. I did actually see that. And why, I don't know, but I did.
Well, apparently they're going to stop now because, that's our Canadian icon, right?
You have a new title now.
What do I have?
Been retitled. Hal has retitled you. You are now the duck-billed beaver.
Did I ever tell you I hate Hal?
You love Hal. What are you talking about?
I love him.
That's a great name, the duck-billed beaver. I mean, come on, we got to phone CBC and see if we can't get a children's show.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
it'll be a transgender duck-billed beaver.
Yeah, well, absolutely, or you won't get the show. Yeah, Canada's first transgender duck-billed beaver. Don't miss the show Saturday mornings at 9:00, kiddies, right here on the Communist Broadcasting Corporation. Oh, Jesus, eh? This is like being in a bad movie.
Oh, yeah.
But
it's surreal, for sure.
Yeah, but no, I was, I just want to get my coffee this morning. I'm used to seeing, just really ugly shit in the Canadian papers about Trump. And but this one just kind of caught me when they're calling him, the Looney King or whatever they're calling him, right? And when I read, I mean, that story goes on forever. Did I put that I meant to put that in the chat. I don't know if I did or not. I will, if I didn't. And I would invite everyone to read that because it's very interesting, the amount of effort they put into trying to tag what Trump's up to what some of these loony inbreds have done in the past. And it's very disturbing, really. And I know when I get out there talking to people, somebody's gonna come up to me in the next couple of days, going, that Trump's crazy. It says he's got dementia. No, it doesn't say that at all, right? They suggest, and then it goes in your head, and your head doesn't understand what it's reading, doesn't know how to comprehend what they're reading, and then you come up with this exactly what they want you to say, even though they'll say they didn't say it. They just suggested it, and you ran with it after that. It's like the scientists are suggesting that if we don't, stop using electricity and water and all the rest of this stuff, and we don't depopulate, they're suggesting that possibly that by the end of the century, that or in a century, that we could rise possibly 2 degrees centigrade, and they suggest that would devastate the planet. And none of what they say is based on any reality or anything that they can back up. It's always just suggestions or some expert, suggested.
Experts are pretty smart, Ron.
Well, apparently not. Look at the state of the planet. Look at the state of the world. Look at the state of the people. Where are all these smart experts?
Experts say.
Yeah, well, university experts are about as. I had a guy last night who gave me a double look. This girl that used to work at the Max Melk, she was going to go to university for get her horticultural degree or whatever the hell it is. And I go, horticultural degree, like what, landscaping and that? And she goes, yeah. What do you need a degree for that for? They go home, plant a plant, put some water on it, done. Right? And she was going, well, yeah, but you need a degree. No, you don't need a degree for anything. So she came in the store. I haven't seen her in a dog's age. So I said, I suggest that you. I suggested to her that everything is written down, and you will learn more faster and be able to think better on the subject that you're interested in if you just self-educate. And it is an absolute backwards move to go to university. So she comes in the store last night, and how's school? I'm out. What, you quit? I did. It was really slow, wasn't it?
$60,000 in debt.
Yeah. And so she said I couldn't take it. She said, it's like you said it was, right? I can just go read it. It's all wrote down. I said, fine. So now she's thinking about going back to school for something else. And I said, the longer you stay in school, the stupider you get. That's a given. Okay? That's an absolute given. And there was some guy that came in there, and before I said that, he said, I got 2 university degrees. And I said, I've hired people with degrees, and found they were some of the stupidest people I ever met, because if I ask them to do something, they'll tell me, well, I wasn't taught that specifically. So what you're telling me is you have no capacity to think, right? And he kind of gave me a double take, right? Because he was all pleased that he'd been to university twice. And he gave him a bit of a bitch slap there. But it's all these people that end up in these schools. They're just led by the nose, and they can't do anything without this damn piece of paper. Our forefathers who built this place didn't run around with a bunch of pieces of paper. They just got to work and got the job done. And that's what I'm asking the American people to do. Get the job done. Okay?
Well, like, we've talked about it on a few shows here, but just let me bring it up one more time. In order to work in Canada, you have to either work for an employer, and he takes all your deductions right off the hop, which is the best. That's what the government's striving for, right?
Yeah.
You get your paycheck, and we've deducted this. But if you're self-employed, you've got to pay your WSIB. You've got to pay, that's workman's comp. It used to be called workman's comp. It's in case of an injury. And did you know that 90% of that insurance that you must pay the government, you pay out of your own pocket if you got an injured employee?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got to have your WHMIS, which is chemical sniffing. Then you've got to have your false safety arrest. And you have to wear a hard hat, safety goggles, work gloves, steel-toed work boots, and a jacket now with a cross on the front and back. A white jacket with a yellow cross on the front and back. Your bubble suit.
Well, I just renovated.
Right?
What? Where'd you go?
And you've got to try and keep all this together, and you've got to do the paperwork to keep it all together. When you're trying to not do what the government wants, you've got to keep this stuff filed. And because what they do is after about 3 months, they come back to you and say, you owe us money. So you've got to go through 3 months worth of paperwork to find out where you might have to owe them money. So on your own dime. So anybody that hates their boss.
But you don't have to do that.
Oh, I don't do it.
I don't do it either. We renovated that commercial building in the wintertime, and I didn't have a cross. I didn't have one of those vests on. I didn't wear a hard hat. I didn't wear work boots most of the time. If I felt, we're pouring concrete, I threw work boots on because it's tops on them. But
really well
I just do what I do, and I have none of those things. I was up and down the ladders on the front of the building, and it's right in town. And I didn't pay anybody $600 for a permit to walk up a ladder. I don't have WHMIS. I don't have WISB. I have none of that stuff, and I didn't get a building permit. And the only one that came by was a building inspector 2 months after we were in the building, explaining that she'd been driving back and forth for 2 months, and thought she better drop in. And so it was nice to meet her, but I don't require any of your services, and never seen them again. But then I've had my run-ins with them before, and they understand who I am and tend to leave me the hell alone. This it's just like I said, being in the club, right? We start a club, and they tell you that you're in the club, and you say, well, it's not real law. Well, no, it's not real law. It's color of law, but we made it up, and we got the force to back it up. So whether it's real law or not doesn't matter, because if you don't do as you're told, the boys over here are going to make your life miserable. So deal with it. But
like
I want to. Hal might find this interesting. We were in court on Friday with Michael Schmidt again. These people are having total meltdowns now. Not Michael's side, but the court side. It's getting absolutely hilarious. I try not to laugh out loud in court, but the judge pulled a real boner there. It just popped out of me. I just started giggling real loud. I couldn't stand it. But this is the thing, right? If you're running a business, the CRA or revenue, whatever, they want you to have, 7 years of records or something? And they want all these records. You're supposed to do all the paperwork and that. So Michael was asked in the court, the officer who got the warrant, who lied to get the warrant, he apparently deleted his emails. All right, so they got talking about the emails and that. Then they had one of the, police administrators there on the stand. And, it's common. Let's see, you've got an ongoing investigation, and you're saying it's normal when you have an ongoing investigation to delete emails. Well, yeah. Well, now you're deleting evidence. And the judge is going, well, it's not really evidence. Well, how do you know it's not evidence? These are the emails between the different factions of government, police and government, and the health department, and this and that, and they're discussing this upcoming case, and you're telling me that that's not evidence, right? That you're destroying these emails prior to the court case? Oh yeah, says the judge, and I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, we'll try that with your income tax, right? You have to keep those records, I think, for 7 years. I don't, of course, never did. I think it's just stupid.
I got a big machine.
I don't mind working hard, but I ain't working for free. Okay, so if you want me to do all this work for your benefit, like the government's benefit, then you best cough up a paycheck, because the guys that are bothering me are getting paid to bother me, and you want me to do all this paperwork for free. Give your head a shake. Right? Not going to happen. I found that kind of interesting in the court, how the court backs up the idea of they have the right to destroy evidence, but then we have enough computer guys around there saying that how are you going to delete it off the hard drive? It's always, it should be recoverable even if it's deleted, right? So it's just they want Michael on the cross, so they just bounce around there and do what the hell they want to do. But anyways, I just found that article today really, really. I found it both disturbing and in a way that if the American people read that, they should be pissed that this other country, their neighbor, is bad-mouthing their president. And when Obama was in power here, if you said anything up this way negative about Obama, holy God, man, it was tough. But that's the way the media operates, because maybe Mr. Trump doesn't. Well, he pulled out of the Paris Accord, right? That must have shoved a ripple through everything. But it's the same thing. When I say you people that went to the Bundy Ranch, or people like you that went to the Bundy Ranch and stood your ground, I do believe it's time for the militia to go if Mr. Trump won't do it. And that's what I'm saying. You people got to get a hold of Trump. He ain't sitting in some damn ivory tower. He's your president. You have every right to talk to the president. And you need to send a body of men and women to meet with the president and sit down, get your plan together, sit down, take it to him and say, okay, you want to make America great, my friend? Here's how we're going to do it. And show the president that he's got somebody backing his ass. Show him that he's not just out there like a sitting duck, like the only voice in America that's talking about making America great again. And I always say that you know, in order to bust this up a little bit, you need to immediately destroy the Trilateral Commission and the Foreign Affairs Office, and bring it in house. And to me, the best thing that I could possibly see that could happen on American soil would be a contingent of Americans go and tear them damn flags down in New York. Those are foreign flags flying on your land at the United Nations, and go in and vacate that damn building. And everybody in there is guilty of treason, at the very least, and clean that building out, and cut all ties. Cutting. You know, walking away from the Paris Agreement does not walk America away from all of those international agreements that have been signed. America is still a member state of the United Nations, which puts it below, okay, and subject to the international laws and treaties and nonsense that were signed. And I'm still waiting for Mr. Trump to do that, but I think if he goes and tries to do that himself, all hell's going to break loose. So he needs those people that get it to get a hold of him and sit down at a table and say, okay, you want to make America great, my friend? Here's a way we can do this, okay? We got to make a statement. Okay, we don't need to be dropping bombs on anybody, okay? We got to get what shouldn't be here out of here. We have to ditch this influence. You know, to have the United Nations on American soil just really, truly makes me want to puke. It really does. It just drives me crazy. I feel dementia coming on now. Oh, my God. No. This is, you can't have a sovereign nation, which is the sovereign people, if you have the United Nations headquarters and the Trilateral Commission sitting on your land. You can't do it. You can't even pretend to be a sovereign nation with these outside entities that are there for no other person or no other purpose but to take your nation down. How the hell can you call yourselves a free country when these entities are they're designed, their purpose, they're charged with destroying your nation? How will you make America great again? You can't. Not like that. Just go get it done. What?
We had a discussion last night, and I told you my opinion. Now, it is just my opinion. But, you know, I said, somebody said to me, look what, my boss said to me, look what Trump's trying to do. And I said, isn't it ironic that he puts in these proposals or these, what he's going to do, and it gets squashed by the legislature or the, you know, whatever they got in the states going on. Yeah, but, geez, guys, I tried, but they won't let me. Yeah, I see a fallacy in that. I really do. Something doesn't smell right.
Oh, something most definitely doesn't smell right. All I'm saying is that he put the word out that, you know, whatever he said exactly, I don't remember, you know, I'm going to make America great, or it's time we make America great again, or whatever it was. It was along those lines. And that to me is a rallying cry that it's time, people, let's get it done. Now, what the purpose of that is, I'm not exactly certain, okay? I'm not certain that, you know, Trump isn't up to his eyeballs in this thing, and the idea is to pull the president and then call martial law, and because America is a member state of the United Nations and is under international law, that opens the door to bring an international contingent in to take control of America, to stabilize it, because it's the most powerful country on the planet. That's my concern.
That's going to become dangerous.
That would be very, very dangerous. That would kick off a very violent situation. And that's what I'm saying. I don't know what Trump's up to. I just know it was time to make America great again. And I would ask the American people to use that as a rallying cry. I would ask the American people who have their brains screwed on straight to put together a coalition of people and set up the earliest possible appointment to sit down with Mr. Trump at a table as reasonable men and women and put the cards on the table. You said you want to make America great again. This is our suggestion how we do it, and we have the force to back it up, okay? And we're on side. Now, if you are disagreeable with this, i.e. getting rid of the Trilateral Commission and cutting all ties with the United Nations and getting them off our land, then if you're not prepared to do that, then there's something else going on here, and we're going to need to know what that is, right? You have to be very straightforward with these people. You have to know what the game is. You can't play the game if you don't know the rules of the game. So it's not something that's not doable. Who is that old? There was kind of a redneck comedian. I don't remember what the hell this guy's name was. And one of his sayings, I think, was like, just get her done, or let's get her done, or something. Get her done, right? And it's that simple. Get her done, right? But Trump does not have the capacity to do this on his own. He needs the backing of the people. And we're sitting there going, rah, 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 is not the backing of the people. You got to step up to the plate. You got to sit down, he's the president. He's just a frickin' man. That's all he is. He ain't no better than any other man. He's just a frickin' man. Now take your people and bring them over here and sit down at a table with this man. Find out what the hell he's trying to do. And if it's not nefarious, then get on board with it and get it done. Okay? You can't be a sovereign nation with the United Nations sitting on your frickin' land. I mean, that's not even a good cartoon. If you're going to be an independent nation, then be an independent nation. Be the light for the world. Be the ones, while we cancel the Paris Agreement, we've seen what kind of flack that hit the fan over that. Okay, you got it. You got the shit hitting the fan. Let's really throw some of it at the fan. Cut all ties with the United Nations. Get the United Nations off your land ASAP and dump that damn Trilateral Commission. Ban the thing. And get rid of your foreign affairs nonsense, okay? Because those are all the Marxist bureaucrats that are taking you down from the inside. It is the Sovietization of America, and that's it. That's the plan. It's well stated, and that is basically the bureaucrats run your nation. Nobody that's elected runs anything, okay? They're just there to smile at you and shake your hand. You got to get back control of your nation. As long as the bureaucracies, the non-elected, the appointed, those who... I mean, how long has Kissinger and these boys been around? Like forever. They just wait for the new president. And then he comes, they set him down, and they all talk to him, and this is the plan, and this is what, and we're the good guys, and we have the experts, and you just listen and do as you're told, and we'll write your speeches, and you just say the speeches, and everything will be fine. It ain't fine. Nothing fine about it. So, if I was American, I mean, I'm even thinking about doing it, and I'm not even an American. I'm thinking of considering phoning Trump. I've done it a couple of times, thought about it. I need to get on the horn and call this guy and say, I want you to fly me down there so we can sit down at the table and figure out the best course of action to get this country back in the hands of the people. Because if we can get America back in the hands of the people, I can go home and get my country back in the hands of the people. It's not difficult. You know, you'd also still be living in caves if somebody said, you know, I think I figured out how to frame up a barn or a house. Oh, that's too difficult. We won't be able to do that, will we? You know, we need an expert or something. Nothing would have ever got done. Because back in the day, people didn't make excuses. They just got it done. And now all you hear from people is excuses. We've become nations of excuse makers, why we can't do something. And this is the result of those excuses. We have a mess on our hands. And people think, well, it's too far gone now. Nothing's too far gone. If you're still breathing, then you're still usable, right? You still have a purpose. And so there are no excuses. Just got to figure out how we're going to go about doing it, that's all. Make a plan and implement it. And what I see the easiest way to do it, and I was so disappointed in America when they burned down Waco, you know. Those were men and women who didn't harm anybody. They were targeted, and the people didn't come to their defense. And, you know, that goes back to, you know, they came for so-and-so, and I didn't say anything. They came for so-and-so, and they didn't say anything. And when they came for me, I asked for help, and there was nobody there. Same shit, same story, right? So I was very, very disappointed in the American people when I was down there and saw that happen. I mean, at 50, I think it was 54 days to rally and come to these people's defenses, and they didn't do it. But then, Waco, a whole different ballgame. The men and women actually showed up and stood their ground. And I love these stand-downs because somebody's going to blink. And they had decided, you see, once you decide that you have the moral authority for what you're doing, then you don't blink because you have the moral authority for what you're doing. There's no need to blink. So you already know going in, and I call it sitting on your moral high horse, which puts you above your aggressor. It makes you more powerful than them. Just your moral spirit makes you more powerful than them. And you've already decided you're not going to blink. Then there's only one side that can blink, and that's the other side. And that's how you get your nation back. It's that freaking simple. And I really don't want to watch the disintegration of our nations and the genocide of our peoples because we're too busy texting on our cell phones, or too busy watching the latest reality TV, or too busy sitting in a university listening to a Marxist professor, and watch our nations be taken down from the inside. It's very difficult. It's extremely difficult. And we can get her done. We just got to mobilize and get it done. Simple as that.
So there could potentially be an issue up at Michael's farm, depending on the finalization of that case.
Well, the injunction.
We're going to make the
Michael.
Paper on that one?
Pardon me?
Are we going to make the paper on that one?
Well, it's amazing. The media has gotten extraordinarily quiet. Every time Michael went to court or was raided in the past, it was splattered all over the media everywhere. as a renegade farmer trying to poison people with raw milk. And as soon as this show's over today, I'm going to go and make myself a raw milk milkshake because they're so damn tasty. And I don't feel dead yet. And they've been drinking his milk for 23 years, and none of them died yet. I thought you asked Ron if you told him how much you hate Hal. Oh, he does that all the time. You know, me and Chris will be talking. He says, "How you doing? You know, how's things?" I hate Hal. Yeah, but besides that, you know, like, what do you? I hate Hal. Just kidding. Duckbill Beaver loves Hal. I love that, man. Duck-billed beaver. No, but as far as Michael's concerned, what's going to happen? Well, I know they're trying to nail him for this, a bunch of these guys for obstruction. They have no evidence whatsoever of obstruction. They have all kinds of evidence against the Crown for perjury and lying to get, well documented, lying to get the warrant. And if there had been no warrant, there would have been no obstruction, and there was no obstruction because they wouldn't have went about it this way. They would have just simply picked up a telephone, and that was suggested to them when they got there, like, hit the road, and why don't you just call, right? And say, we want some samples or something. We would have gladly gave you the samples, but you come in on this raid and get everybody excited, and you pre-lay this out. And so I don't know that they're going to get the obstruction charge because they've screwed up so bad on the Crown and the judge side now, and their key witnesses. I don't see how anybody in the right mind could find anybody guilty of obstruction, but you never know. As far as the injunction goes, they're not going to abide by it, even if the court in Newmarket puts forward an injunction, cease and desist order. They will not cease and desist. So will we have a stand down at the farm? Is a very good possibility. Are the people prepared to stand them down? Absolutely. And this is what encourages me is, when I'm talking to some of these women who are in their 80s now, they're more than willing to stand down, or not to stand up, to stand down the government. And these are old women, and but see, they still understand what their minds haven't been corrupted like the youth. They still have a sense of history. They have a sense of duty. They have a sense of responsibility, and they're prepared to stand ground and stand them down. They're not afraid of the police or the government. They know that they have the right to feed themselves and to eat what they feel is most beneficial to them. Not the police, not the government, not the health agency. Nobody is going to tell them that they can't eat healthy food, plain and simple. And, it says here, shove that piece of paper where the sun don't shine. Okay? And it's going to be interesting. I think, and see, Michael was trying to get it legalized, and I've been on him for years. You don't want to go there because if they do legalize it, then they're going to put you out of business anyways. Okay, because they will lop so many regulations on you guys, on all you raw milk farmers. They're not even, just call it organic farming. That's all. That they'll put you out of business. So you just stay where you are. You are a private co-op who have rules and regulations of your co-op or your club, and your members abide by them, and they harm no one. They're involved with no one else. It is an in-house club situation, and you don't have authority over us. And that's really making the government nuts. But that's just the way it is.
Mind your own business.
Go suck air. What?
It's called mind your own business.
Well, yeah, I mean, the original judge, the original thing in 2010, the justice there acquitted Michael on all 19 charges, saying that every one has the right to enter into a private agreement outside the interference of the government. And he was absolutely correct in his judgment. But this is a threat. The government sees this as a threat against the monopoly, which is the Milk Marketing Board, who has complete and total control over milk, which means they have complete and total control over the farmers, control the food, control the people, as Kissinger said, and that's the problem. It has nothing whatsoever to do with the product. It has to do with the fact that if they don't crush this independent food system that's being put together by people, that it will undermine the monopolies that are legislated by the government. And it's all about control. I mean, Rockefeller said it, own nothing, control everything. And that's what this is. It's a control game. And people are sick and tired of being told what they can and can't do. I mean, if I go up a ladder here and some dick comes up to me and says, you don't have a hard hat on, you don't have any work boots on, and you're going up a ladder without a certificate that costs you $600, and you don't even have a cross vest. And we have to do that. Says who? Well, this piece of paper. And who is that piece of paper exactly? Can it speak to me? Well, it was legislated. By who? By the government. Well, can the government speak to me? No, that's an entity as well. So take your paper, shove it where the sun don't shine. Hey, have a nice glass of ice cold raw milk. Make you feel better, son. We just got to shake this shit loose. As long as we, let's see, government impairment of contract, judge has no jurisdiction or to do that either. No, they have no jurisdiction. They'll probably go for a contempt of court charge if the injunction issues and you persist. You'll need to counter that maybe with habeas challenging jurisdiction of the judge to interfere with lawful production. It doesn't matter really how, because the injunction is not against the people, okay? The legal system has no authority over men and women. None. The only authority they have is over what they created. And they created the legal entity, and the legal entity is the only thing that is chargeable. It's the only thing they can put a injunction upon. They cannot put it against a man or a woman because they don't have any authority. They have no jurisdiction over a man or a woman. None. The legal system has, by definition, no jurisdiction over any living, breathing man, woman, period. They only have jurisdiction over what they created, and all they created was a legal entity, which was the enslavement paper of the man. But you didn't consent to it. You weren't acknowledged. You didn't get disclosure, which means it's fraud, which goes back to exactly what I was talking about, the Little Boys Club. A proper club or a proper government, you would have to consent to it. For anyone to govern over you, it requires consent. And they just made up these phony cards, put your name on it, and said you're a member of the club, therefore you got to do what we got to do. It's not law, it's color of law. Okay? There's no jury trials in this stuff. The judges are paid by the corporation. The police are paid by the corporation. The politicians are paid by the corporation. The crown is paid by the corporation, which makes it one big, huge conflict of interest. Okay, so they want to play the game, and Michael and the people have been very good about this. They just smiling along through this, and they are doing what they are doing to show them their error of their ways without actually coming out and telling it to them. And if they continue, then we'll move to the next stage. that none of it exists. It's the same as all the debt they keep telling us about. We got to raise your taxes because we need more money. And that goes back down to the Roman Church that Martin Luther exposed with the sin tax. We need more cash. And now, just like they were pedophiles then, we have pedophile city right in front of our face again. So that's just Rome rising one more time, and we got to kick it in the teeth and knock it back down. And as far as the courts go, if you don't have a jury, then you didn't have a trial. If you don't have a injured party, then you don't have a trial. Okay, and that is law. And I've been through that with the lawyer at the Attorney General's office. We went through the difference between legal and law. We went through what adheres to what. And he agrees wholeheartedly that legal is not law. It is the opposite of. And that legal, everything that has ever been legislated as a statute, rule, regulation, was instigated to control and harm the people by taking away their God-given rights or undermining them or lessening them and taking their labor through fees and charges and whatnot when they have no victim to bring forward. And we got to get back to law. It's simple as that. And law adheres itself to men and women, and legal adheres itself to legal entities, fictional things that the government created in order that the legal system, which is a fictional system of law, not based on any reality whatsoever, the legal system only can deal with what was created, fiction to fiction, reality to reality, fiction to fiction. And law is real, and man is real, and legal is fiction, and the legal entity is fiction. And you cannot combine the two other than to say that while they are separate, they're also indivisible, which we know a lawyer wrote because that's lunatic talk, that's jargon, it's idiocy, because anybody that got two brain cells left in their head understands that if you are separate, you are separate. And if you're indivisible and you're indivisible, you cannot be both. You cannot be separate and indivisible. That's just good old lawyering bullshit. So they'll play this through. Michael's having fun right now. Gave the Crown a heart attack yesterday. I guess we left, or not yesterday, Friday. We left early because Paul had a lot of pain, but Paul was talking to Michael, and the Crown. Michael was testifying on the stand on his own behalf, and then the Crown tried to cross-examine him. I guess that didn't work out too well. Michael's been at this 23 years. He understands her leading questions and nonsense. So I guess after the trial, they were outside the court room, or after it was over Friday. The Crown came up and said to Michael, I guess we're done now. We just have to come back from summations. And Michael says, nope, I got more witnesses. And the Crown's just going, oh, God, I can't deal with this anymore, right? So, it's a long, this is a simple little charge of obstruction. Nobody was touched. Nobody was injured. Nobody was even obstructed. But this is how bad they want Michael. This trial started in March, and it will continue into July. A total waste again of money, resources, time for all of the people involved, except the side that brought this is getting paid, and the side defending it is not getting paid. Okay? And both of these parties are putting their time into this, and the adversarial party is being paid to try to hurt people that haven't harmed anybody who aren't getting paid, and I can't believe we're out of time. Anyways, before we get going here, Hal's on the street. Be there somewhere. And if you're driving down the road and you see a duck-billed slow down and let people next in line, lower class and social slime. They don't mind genocide. Sick from water, sick from air, making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air, fuck them back, it's only for they war. They shoot.
kill.